Story 1: The Hitchhiker Who Knew Too Much by Marcus from Portland, Oregon. It was supposed to be a simple drive. My friend Jake and I were heading back from a camping trip in Oregon, taking the scenic route through the back roads. The sun had just set, and the forest on either side of us looked like a solid black wall. That's when we saw him. A man standing on the shoulder, thumb out, wearing a dark jacket and jeans. Something about him felt off, but Jake insisted we stop. "Come on, man, it's the middle of nowhere." Against my better judgment, I pulled over. The guy climbed into the back seat without a word. He smelled like wet earth and something sour. "Thanks for stopping," he said quietly. His voice was raspy, like he hadn't spoken in days. I asked where he was headed. "Just up the road a bit. You'll know when we get there." That answer made my skin crawl, but I kept driving. For the next 10 minutes, he didn't say anything. Then, out of nowhere, he spoke again. "You shouldn't have taken this road." My hands tightened on the wheel. Jake turned around. "What do you mean?" The hitchhiker leaned forward slightly. "This is where it happened, where I died." My blood went cold. I glanced in the rearview mirror, but his face was hidden in shadow. 3 years ago, right around this bend, I wanted to slam on the brakes, throw him out, anything, but I couldn't move. Then we came around the bend. There, on the side of the road, was a small wooden cross. Flowers, old and rotted, lay at its base. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. I looked in the mirror again. The back seat was empty, completely empty. Jake and I didn't say a word the rest of the drive. When we finally got home, I looked up accidents on that road. Sure enough, 3 years ago, a man matching his description died in a crash on that exact curve. He'd been hitchhiking. Story 2: The Rest Stop That Wasn't There by Jennifer from Austin, Texas. I was driving solo from Texas to Colorado. One of those late-night pushes you regret the moment you start. It was around 2 a.m. when I desperately needed to use the bathroom. My phone had died an hour earlier, so I had no GPS. That's when I saw the sign, "Rest Stop 1 mile." Thank God. The place looked ancient. The parking lot was cracked, weeds pushing through everywhere. There was one flickering light pole and a squat brick building that looked like it hadn't been updated since the 70s. But I didn't care. I pulled in, grabbed my flashlight, and headed inside. The bathroom was disgusting. The lights buzzed and flickered. Everything smelled like mildew and rust. I did what I needed to do and got out as fast as possible. But as I walked back to my car, I noticed something strange. There were no other buildings, no vending machines, no information boards, nothing. Just that bathroom and the empty lot. And it was completely silent. No highway noise, nothing. I got in my car and drove. Fast. About 20 miles down the road, I saw another rest stop. This one was modern, well lit, with other cars parked there. I pulled in, my hands still shaking, and asked the attendant about the rest stop I'd just left. He looked at me like I was crazy. "There's no rest stop between here and the state line," he said. "Hasn't been for 15 years. They tore it down after those murders." I pulled up a map on his computer. The location where I'd stopped Nothing. Just empty highway. I know what I saw. I know where I was. But according to every map, every record, that rest stop doesn't exist. Sometimes, I still wonder what would have happened if I'd stayed longer. Or if I'd looked more carefully at that graffiti on the walls. Because now that I think about it, some of it looked like warnings. Story 3. The Car That Followed Us Home by David from Denver, Colorado. My girlfriend and I were driving back from a weekend in the mountains. It was late, probably around midnight, and we were on this winding road through the forest. That's when I noticed the car behind us. At first, I didn't think much of it, but after 20 minutes, it was still there. Same distance, never getting closer, never falling back. Sarah noticed too. That car's been behind us for a while. I told her not to worry about it, but honestly, I was starting to feel uneasy. I sped up. The car sped up. I slowed down. It slowed down. We went through 3 different turns, and it stayed right there, matching our every move. Then I had an idea. I pulled into a gas station, thinking they'd just drive past. We sat there for 10 minutes. The car pulled in too, parking on the far side of the lot, headlights still on, aimed right at us. I couldn't see anyone inside. Sarah was gripping my arm. We need to go, now. I started the car and pulled back onto the road. So did they. This went on for another 30 miles. My heart was racing. We were almost home when I made a split-second decision. I turned into our neighborhood, but didn't go to our house. Instead, I drove to the police station 2 blocks away. The car followed us into the parking lot. Then, just as I was about to run inside, it slowly backed out and drove away. The cops took our statement but said there wasn't much they could do since the car never actually threatened us. We drove home, constantly checking the mirrors. Everything seemed fine until the next morning. When I went out to my car, there was a note under the wiper. It said, "I know where you live now." We moved 3 weeks later. I still don't know who was in that car or what they wanted. But sometimes, late at night, I see headlights that look familiar, and I wonder if they ever really stopped following us. Which story scared you the most? Was it Marcus's encounter with the hitchhiker who knew he was dead? Jennifer's experience at the rest stop that shouldn't exist? Or David's terrifying night with the car that followed them home? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed these terrifying true road trip stories, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell for more horror content. Stay safe out there, and maybe think twice before picking up that hitchhiker. Thanks for watching.